Hello, I'm Josh and welcome back to another episode of TM3 Live. Today we're going to be wrapping that pesky console, you know, that piano black finish that seems to scratch if you look at it too hard. But not only are we going to wrap it, we're going to head back to the concept. Wrapping the center console on the Model 3, and I have chosen the white satin console wrap. I'm actually going to be doing this install backwards from how you'll see most people doing it. Instead of starting with the cup holder and working my way up, I'm actually going to start with this small piece which I've already removed from the car. This is the cell phone piece that the bottom of the cell phones rest on. But I think you can pretty much use your hands here and get all the bubbles out. I don't feel it's necessary to use the squeegee. And it seems that your hands aren't going to scratch the vinyl as easy as the other one. So I've got that wrapped. Now the thing you'll notice here, and again, this is exactly what I'm referring to. I'm not sure if you can see this, but I got a piece of dust in there. I don't feel like taking it back up for one little piece of dust, but it is noticeable. So, you know, that's just something to be aware of. You really got to go panel by panel and remove that dust, or it's going to show up. On a piece like this, I'm not super worried about it, mainly because, I mean, you very rarely see it anyway. It sits, you know, y'all know where it sits. I mean, it's pretty hidden for the most part, and most of the time your phone's sitting on top of it anyway, so it's really not that huge of a deal. But that's simply how that came out, and that came out pretty well, except for the tiny little
Okay, so now it
dust
might be
spot
pretty
there.
obvious why I decided to go ahead and do the white. I'm actually looking for that whole back to concept look. The full white interior, I thought that a white console would look really great. And this piece that we took off simply goes onto the side here and then slides over and snaps right into place. And that's it. So to get it off, you would just simply slide it to the left and pull it off. We'll do it right now. See? Push to the left, lift off, set in, snap over to the right, and that piece is in. So that piece is done. Like I said, besides that one little minor dust particle in there, I'm pretty happy with that. Now we're gonna do this piece. So first things first, we're gonna wipe it, you know, get all the dust particles off this. I have a microfiber towel here, and I just want to make sure that all my dust particles are off. As again, if you don't take the time to clean these panels and you leave dust on there, it's definitely going to show up when you put down any matte or glass wrap on there. You're going to want to wipe it down as you go, piece by piece. And this is like a little trapezoid piece, and we want to make sure that we leave I don't know, almost 1/4 of an inch at the bottom. So when you lay this down, you're going to want to make sure you leave enough room to wrap and that your sides look good as you're laying it down. And I'm just going to set it in place and see if I'm happy with how much I've got. Okay, I don't think I have enough of this down here. So really make sure, if you can, slide it down so you know exactly what you're giving yourself. And then once you think you're in good shape, make sure your edges are in good shape as well. I think that's going to be good. So, you know, again, I would normally have the squeegee, then I'm just going to use my hand, and I'm going to go ahead and push that. I'm going to, again, just like they say in the video, you know, work yourself up from the center and out to the sides so you can get all that air out. But I don't feel you need the squeegee, and from my experience of the first time that I did this, the squeegee really left a lot of scrapes and marks on the actual film itself, and I was not really happy with it. The look was not great. So please take your time with that. Okay, now we've got that down, now we just simply take your finger and wrap that around. If you've done it right, you've got that whole quarter edge covered. Hope you can you see that there? That whole quarter edge is covered now. I'm just gonna make sure I've got all the bubbles out. And I think that looks pretty decent. And of course the next one is gonna be this piece and then the cup holder piece. Just so you're aware of the temperature, I am in a cool car. I think it's about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Seems to work pretty well for laying down vinyl because it allows you to get rid of all the tackiness. So it allows it makes it so much easier to lay this vinyl down without it just sticking and grabbing and really causing you some problems. But we've got all the air bubbles out. I don't have any dust particles in here that I can see. And these are really, of course, the important panels to not have the dust particles in. All right, we'll be back with you when we do the other two pieces. Second piece here, we have that piece done. I'm going to leave that up. And I'm just going to give this a quick wipe down with the microfiber towel. Make sure we don't have any lint. Because again, with this particular wrap, if there's any lint on the piece, it'll definitely show through. So I'm going to try to get all that out. There are already some fine and minute scratches in this, so it'll be good to get a cover on. And so we're going to go ahead and now what you'll notice here, if you push this forward, you have almost a 1/4 inch here. Actually, I'm going to wipe that down real quick because it's got a little bit of dust in there. And we've got another 1/4 inch here. So I'm less concerned with getting this section here completely covered. As long as it's covered a little bit, that's perfectly fine. It doesn't need to be covered the whole way down, but we definitely want to make sure we leave ourselves a 1/4 inch at least on this side. So let's get some of this dampness off. I have the microfiber towel damp so that it holds on to the dust. And we have our next piece. Peel it off. This is our next piece we're going to put on. You got to get right over top of it. Make sure you're over on that. We want to give ourselves a little bit of an overlap. And when you're doing that, you also want to make sure that you're as close as possible as you can be to these edges. Overlapped here. Alright, now we're going to start working our way out. And remember, I'm doing this with my finger. I felt like this worked a lot better for me than the squeegee. Because I believe, like I said before, the squeegee just seemed to really leave a lot of scratches and damage. But just like the same way, you're going to go ahead and work your way from the inside out. Right? That's how we're going to get the air out of this and make it look the best. Well, since we have that side pushed up, I'm going to go ahead and lay this side down in here. Remember, like I said, didn't need a ton of overlap in here. This is just to cover a little bit as it gets pulled up. Where we really need the overlap is right here. Because that's the piece that you're going to see the majority of the time. At least as smooth as I can make it. Get some more air out here. Push it to the sides. Just get the air out. Now you can really, once you get it laid down flat, you can really see where you might have some air pockets left in there. That's okay. Any air pockets you see, you can just scoot those right to the edge. That's exactly where they're going to go, and they're going to squeeze right out over here. They're going to lay down really nice. This is where I use the microfiber towel to make sure that we got all our air bubbles out. without marring making it look bad. So right there, a little wrinkle here, which you couldn't really get. I wonder if I can peel there. Can certainly try. You gotta be very careful though. We've got the majority of this laid down really nicely. It does take some time and effort to get this to exactly the way you want it, so you don't get any wrinkles. You gotta pull and stretch as you lay down. Pull and stretch. Don't be afraid to put a little bit of elbow grease into it, and there you go. So you can fix anything, even if it looks like it's not repairable. You can absolutely fix it. That edge looks a lot better now. Let's take a look at what this looks like together. There we go. We have 2 white pieces completely covered, and that came out pretty well. So in this situation, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open this. I might actually close this to start, but what we're going to do, I'm going to get rid of that piece. We don't need that. This is our last piece here, but I do need to do the exact same thing that I've been doing right along. Now you'll notice again, and I'm just going to repeat myself here, that this is the opposite way that you'll find the instructions on Abstract Ocean, or I think pretty much any of them will have you do this. They'll have you do it starting with this piece here, the cup holder piece. This is the hardest piece, and they might be going off on the theory that if you start with the hardest, the rest is just goes a lot easier. But I find making sure that you get all these overlaps done properly is really key. And this is, I think, is going to be easier to install than we think, mainly because we have the cup holder as a guide here, which is really nice. Really helps us make sure that when we lay this down, we know exactly where we're putting it. Now this piece has got a transfer piece, which helps us to hold this in place while we lay it down, which is really key. Because this is going to help us come down. You want to make sure you get right over top of it and position it with the transfer paper. Pull it back a little bit. You have to always watch your edges too, not just where you're lined up with the cup holders, but also the edges down here as you get towards the back. Okay. Now you can get in here with a squeegee a little bit. So down here, not so bad. That'll wrap nicely. There's gonna be, I'm just checking to see how much wrapping I have on this side here. Seems seems okay. This seems pretty well placed around the cup holder. So I'm going to start right on this transfer spot. I'm going to start working my way out to the edges. Because the key to this is really making sure that you have this edge down really well, because when we pull this transfer paper up, that's what's going to be part that's got to hold well, because that's the part that tends to rip on people. So be very careful on this edge. This is really where you got to be careful. There's a really small piece here, and that's, I think, where a lot of these installs go wrong on this particular piece anyway. I'm going to open this up now so I have some room to work with. Grab the squeegee and we'll get that squeegee down. I just want to get the majority of this laid down. Again, I'm still working from the center and working my way out to the edges, right? Got to get this. Okay, so there's a piece of dust under here somehow, so we're going to lift it up without stretching it. Must be on the transfer paper. That's a piece of dust right on the paper. Alright, well, I don't want to stretch it too much, because it's gonna make it harder to lay down. So I'm gonna stop stretching it. I do have a little piece of lint in here. It looks like it's really small. It looks like it was on the actual tacky side of the paper, not on the piece. So not much I can do about that. But again, it's very minor. Again, work ourselves back. Get these air bubbles out. This because they got to go somewhere, and they're going to go towards the end here. And if you have to lift and stretch, then you have to lift and stretch. You got to do what you got to do to get this done. So just laying this down. So you notice at this point, I'm pretty much fairly committed, but I can see the indents here. And this is stuff that goes around. And this is where I actually am probably going to come back with a heat gun. If you have one, a hairdryer will work just fine too. With a heat gun, you have to be really careful because it puts out a lot of heat and you can melt the material, and you don't want to do that. But I may come back with a heat gun to help me lay down the interior parts of this cup holder, because that's really tricky. You got some sharp edges here on these 4 spots right here. There's some really sharp edges, and in order to lay those down without it wrinkling, heat gun would be really helpful there. So now that we're at the back here, and again, I might get the squeegee to shove down on these edges, but I'm gonna try to get this laid down as best I can. This looks absolutely completely finished. It's a really good edge on that. Like I said, I got a little tiny piece of dust underneath there. Not the end of the world. Now that I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna wrap this around, because you're not ever gonna see this, but you're gonna wanna wrap this well, because what you don't want is this peeling back up, because it'll interfere with how well this door opens. So make sure when you wrap this edge around, you've got it really good. I'm gonna have to send a squeegee in here for sure. But this moves over here, so we should be able to get a squeegee in there and get that down in there. But this needs to be good. Nice and tight so it doesn't peel back up. Wrapped in, again, you'll never see it, but it's important to be wrapped in tight, because when the door's shut, you wanna make sure it has really good smooth operation, as you see that it does. Now, we're going to pull this transfer paper up here. We're going to be really careful with pulling this transfer paper up, because this is where a lot of times people end up ripping their vinyl because of this really small edge over here. So I'm just going to go right around that edge, and we'll just go this way. And again, be really careful on this edge. This is where things can go wrong. That went fairly well. We'll put that down here. The rest of our trash, I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that, as you can see, the final product came out very well. As you can see, I did not have to come back and use a heat gun in here. This actually laid down very well. Didn't give me any crinkles or creases in here. Came out very well. The door opens perfectly. Covered nicely on the lip there, and this edge as well came out perfect, or as perfect as it's going to come out. Anyway, certainly not redoing it, but I really do like the look of this in here. I think it looks very good. It certainly gives it that concept look that I was looking for. Thank you for joining me on another episode of TM3 Life as we did the console wrap. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'll be glad to answer them. If you're looking for where I got the console wrap, I got mine at Abstract Ocean, and I can certainly leave a link in the description below so that you can take a look at that for yourselves. And as always, let's keep those batteries charged. Take care. See you next time.